Hello.
Good evening.
Welcome to Testimony Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome.
We are super excited to have you join us on tonight. Um, we're excited to have you. Go ahead and like, tag, and share.
Yep.
Add someone else to the broadcast on tonight. I am super excited about our special guest that we have on tonight as well. Please go ahead and add someone to Testimony Tuesday. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Let us know you're here. I can't see who has joined, but if you leave a comment, I can see that you are joined. I'm going to try to pull it up. And as I am pulling it up, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Testimony Tuesday is a platform that we share the goodness of the Lord. We share testimonies of what the Lord is doing. We always hear what the Lord has done through Bible days, but God is still God. He's still working miracles. He is still doing mighty things. He's still healing, delivering, all of those things. And so we want to tell you about it just to strengthen your faith through whatever you may be dealing with, whatever you may be going through. And so thank you for joining us. Hey, Keandra. Hey, Minister Johnson. How are you? Thank you for joining on tonight. June, if you'll go ahead and give us our scripture reading where Testimony Tuesday is based from.
Okay, so Testimony Tuesday is based from the scripture of Revelation 12, verses 10 through 12, 10 and 11. And it reads, "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death."
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there is power in the testimony. Hey, Miss Sheila, thank you for joining. Guys, go ahead, like, tag, and share. Get some other people on. We have an amazing young lady with us tonight that I love so
Yes,
much.
yes, very near and dear.
Hey, Miss Hattie, thank you for joining us on tonight. We're going to go ahead and add her to the stage on tonight. Hello, Shaquel.
Hey.
So I have to say, she is absolutely one of my favorites. She has been for such a
Yes.
long time. I was about to say I love her parents, and I do with the love of the Lord. I
Don't
love her
do
mama
that. Don't do
so
that.
much.
You're gonna let you talk about my boy.
And Ron, he's okay too. Okay.
Not today. RJ, you the man, baby.
Kale, he would be giving me a fit, and I'm sure he is out there watching some way, somehow. He is definitely on, but I'm not going to say anything bad because this is not about him tonight. So I'm not going to say anything. But anyway, you get it. But I love Shaquel. They made a beautiful baby who I love. Babies. They made two beautiful babies that I love so
Yeah.
much. And so she's my baby. She has been near and dear for a long time. Her and my baby were so close as well. And so I just love her. Anyway, so Shaquel is a Henderson native, and she has been married to Patrick Davis Jr., PJ, for
Yep.
3 years. I cannot believe it's been 3 years already. But anyway, 3 years. And through their union, they birthed three beautiful babies. And that is Lauren, London, and Landon. And so Kale is going to talk to us tonight about her story and her journey. And as I stated before, this month we're talking about grief because holidays are hard. And so I wanted to talk about the grief journey. I wanted people to share their stories and how they've been able to overcome in the midst of it. Because holidays are hard. And so we have Thanksgiving coming up, then Christmas to follow. And so I often tell people the first of everything is the hardest. And so we are going to jump right in. Hey, Kale.
Hey.
So, and I will say this, internet may be a little bit delayed on tonight because we're all in 3 different locations. And so it just may be a little delay. Hey, Kiki. Hey, Miss Dolores. Hey, Claudia. I love you. Hey, Miss Rosa. Thank you for joining. And you are correct. Holidays are hard for so many. And so we want to kind of ease the pain a little bit if we can by just sharing some of our grief journey. And so we're going to jump right in. And so, Kel, I want you to take us to how life was before an event happened that changed your whole life. So just take us back to life. What was happening in the moment?
Okay, so this was 2021. PJ and I, we had just got married that April. We had already planned that we were going to have a baby right after we got married. So that was planned. It went just as planned. So I'm pregnant. I'm newly married. I'm happy. Just everything is going great. And leading up to December, everything was just great. The pregnancy, throughout the whole journey, each month, each appointment, everything was perfect. There was no concerns, high risk, anything. Everything was just great leading up to December.
Absolutely. So life is just going as planned. Everything is just fine. And so take us
Yes.
to December the 23rd that begins the journey.
So on December 23rd, I was already out of work. I went ahead and took my maternity leave because a couple of days prior, I thought that I was having contractions, but it was a false alarm. So I was already out of work just to be on the safe side. At the time, I had Lauren at North Wake Med. I wanted to have my second baby at North Wake Med. And at the time I lived in Henderson. So I wanted to just be cautious of the timing to make sure that I did not have to have my babies locally. I wanted to have them there because I trusted them. So during this time, on the 23rd, it was a regular day, but the day just seemed so different. It wasn't like it was a regular day, but it wasn't regular. When I woke up that morning, there were 2 main things that stood out to me. The first thing was my husband. He was telling me, we were just, regular morning, and he was like, I feel nervous for some reason. And I just remember like being excited because I know that I was trying to have her either before or after Christmas. I did not want to have my baby on Christmas Day. So it's the 23rd of December. And I'm like, oh, he feels nervous. That means she's coming. Like, I know she's coming. And he was like, yeah, I don't know why I feel nervous. I'm like, okay, I think that might be because she's coming today. So I was excited about it. And then the second thing that stood out to me was Lauren. Lauren watches a lot of families, like different families on YouTube. So there was one particular couple that she watched where the wife was pregnant, but they were explaining to the viewers that she had a miscarriage. And Lauren asked me, Mommy, what's a miscarriage? And I said, I explained to her what a miscarriage was. And I remember, sitting there and just watching it with her. And I'm just like, I remember saying, wow, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine being excited for a baby and then the baby doesn't make it. Literally, just, saying these things. And so those were the 2 things that stood out. It was a regular day. We lived right by the YMCA at the time. So we went walking. I was trying everything to get her to just come. So I'm walking, jogging, bouncing, eating pineapples, everything I seen that you're supposed to do, I was doing. So we walked to the YMCA, just a normal day, normal errands, different things like that. That evening we ate at China Kitchen. If you know me, you know I love my Chinese food. So we was eating China Kitchen. And then later on that evening, I started feeling pressure. Now with Lauren, when Lauren was a baby, when I was about to have Lauren, I got epidural before the contractions really set in. So at the time, I didn't know how full contractions really felt. And I wanted to make sure my timing was right so that I can make it from Henderson to North Wake Med. So I started feeling the pressure, called the on-call nurse, and they said, just come on in. So we were headed there. Whole time that we're headed there, my baby's moving normal, nothing, out of the norm. It was just a lot of pressure, but it wasn't anything alarming. So we got to the hospital. Now, this is 2021. So this is during the time where COVID was very strong and a lot of practices were in place. So at the time, children could not come into the hospital at all. And of course, masks and everything had to be worn. So when we got there, I called my mom and let her know that we were headed there. So by the time we got there, my mom hadn't gotten there yet. So I went ahead in. I wanted to go ahead and check in. PJ stayed out with Lauren in the car just to make sure that she got with my mom safely. And so by the time I got into the waiting room, I remember this is Christmas time. So I distinctly remember like this big Christmas tree in the lobby and Christmas decorations, Christmas music, just Christmas. And the receptionist, she was helping someone else at the time. And she looked at me and she seen how big and pregnant I was. And she was like, "Do you need help now?" And I remember saying, "Oh, no, it's okay. You can go ahead and finish with them." With that alone, it kind of, with grief sometimes comes guilt. And I just remember being like, dang, I wish I would have just told her, like, "No, I need help now," because I don't know at what point did things go left, because like I said, on the way there, she's moving and everything is fine. I don't know when things went left. And I'm like, maybe if I was just 3 seconds earlier or, just things like that, things play in your mind.
Yeah.
So they finished finished with the other people. And it's my time to check in. So by this time, my mom has came, she's gotten Lauren, PJ come in. So they take me up to the floor. I change out into my gown, urine sample, everything they ask for. And then if you're a pregnant woman, that or if you've had children, that they put like the two different monitors on, one to monitor contractions and one to monitor heart rate or heartbeat. So I remember them putting those on. And when the nurse, I believe it was the nurse, when she got to the heartbeat, she had a hard time finding it. Now, for me, that wasn't alarming because every appointment that I had, London, that's my baby's name, London, she would have like moved, away from whatever device they were trying to do. So that wasn't normal. I mean, that was out of the norm for them not to be able to find the heart rate. So she was like, "I'm going to get nurse such and such to come because she's really good at finding the heartbeat." And I'm like, okay, still not thinking anything of it. So that person comes in, she can't find it. So during this time, it's almost like, they were kind of they were concerned. So they were just like, "Oh, we're gonna get the doctor," just real calm. I'm still not thinking anything of it. So to get the doctor, this doctor comes in with an ultrasound. I'm still thinking everything is fine because I've never had high risk anything. So, I'm still thinking everything is fine. She comes with the ultrasound. I remember I was laying in the bed. I remember she was to the right of me with the ultrasound. And when she cut the ultrasound on and I turned and I looked at my baby, with the ultrasound, you can see the heart pumping. You can see that pump and you can see the red and the blue. And I didn't see any of that. I just seen a baby that was just still with no pumping or no nothing. And she turned and she looked at me and she said, "I'm sorry, we can't find the heartbeat." In that moment, whew, in that moment, I can't even describe the feeling that went through my body during that because I couldn't believe what I had just heard and what I was seeing on the ultrasound. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So I remember I am a crybaby like my dad, if you don't know. And I remember just crying. I couldn't do anything but cry. And I remember my husband, he had brought his anointing oil because this is Minister Christina Johnson's son. And he brought his oil and he took it up and he prayed. But in the moment, I couldn't do it. I couldn't pray. I couldn't do none of that. All I could do was just cry, just in disbelief. And so after this, the doctors was like, we're going to give you guys some time. So during this time, I called my mom. Now, my mom, her and Lauren, they had went to a restaurant that wasn't too far from the hospital. Luckily, they hadn't ordered food or anything. They just only, got their drinks. And I called my mom, and I'm screaming, Mom, she didn't make it. She didn't make it. And my mama don't play about me. So she dropped everything and she came. She called my Aunt Nita. You gonna have to come get Lauren because I got to go in this hospital. So she did all of that. So she's there. I called my dad. I'm like, she didn't make it. So at this time, my mom is there. PJ called his mom and she's praying and things like that. And all I could do was just cry. The feeling in my body is just, it was unexplainable. I've never felt that feeling before. It was just like me sitting there like, this is really happening to me for real. Like, this is really happening. And so the doctors come in and they say, hey, do you want to go home and just come back, or do you want to go ahead and we induce your labor? Now, I wasn't that educated when it came to stillbirth. So I've never been close to anyone, knowing like what comes with that. So I just looked at her like, oh, I still have to go through labor. And she's
My God.
like, yeah, unfortunately, yes. And I remember being so angry at the fact that, like, I'm really going to be tortured going through a full-blown labor, knowing that this baby is not even alive. So
Jesus.
I told her, I said, no, I'm not home. I want to go ahead and just do this. Just get it over with. So I'm angry. I am angry at this point. So by this time, my dad arrives, PJ's there, my mom's there. And I remember I was waiting on them to take me to the next room, the labor and
Shaquel,
delivery room.
let me pause you
And
for a second. So you're
Mhm.
saying that, so were they giving you the option to leave and go home and then come back and deliver?
Yes, they told me if I needed to go home and just kind of gather my thoughts and gather things I could and then come back.
Wow.
But I definitely didn't want to do that.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
That was, I was very, that was an option that they gave, but they did give that option. But I'm just like, no, I want to get this over with. Like, this is torture. I want to get it over with.
Right. Wow.
So
Okay.
I remember the clock that was like straight ahead from me, and I just remember just staring at the clock. The whole room was quiet. Nobody. I mean, what can you say in this moment? So I'm looking at the clock, and I just remember being angry. They finally moved me to the labor and delivery room. They asked me, did I want epidural? Of course I want epidural. I don't want to go through any pain on top of the pain I'm already feeling. Yes, I want epidural. They give me the epidural. Um, this this is the 23rd. This is all throughout the night. They induced my labor, broke my water, everything. And throughout the night, I just remember just being numb. Like, that whole process is like a fog kind of sort of for me, because it was almost like an out of body experience. Like, this can't be real. I can't even like begin to describe the feeling that I had during this time. So the next morning comes. So now it's Christmas Eve, a time that is, very exciting for people. But for me, my life has just turned upside down. So it's around 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm 10 centimeters, and it's time to push. And I just remember that bright light that they put, when you're pushing. And I remember just staring at the light. And, my legs are numb. I got the epidural. My whole body is numb. My feelings are numb. I'm just pushing with everything I had left. And I just remember looking at that light like, this is torture. Like, why am I having to do all of this for a baby that's not even alive? And so, I'm pushing, and before I started pushing, I remember one of the nurses telling me, we may have to, fix her up a little bit when she comes out. Because when this happens, sometimes, the baby just needs kind of, just to be fixed up a little bit. And I said, okay. So I'm pushing. She comes out. That same nurse turned and looked at me and said, "She's perfect. Are you ready to see her?" And I said,
Wow.
yes. And I remember them laying her, and I was just in disbelief because I was 9 months pregnant, due at any day. So this is a full grown baby that still is warm and just looked like she's just sleeping. Nothing was wrong. They tested everything that they could test with me and her, and nothing. It was just considered unexplained because absolutely nothing was wrong. And I just remember just holding her and just sobbing. PJ, he still had hope, like, oh, God is gonna work a miracle. Me, I didn't, because when I looked at that ultrasound, and I know what I usually see at my appointments, and I didn't
Right.
see that anymore. So I knew that she was gone. So during this time, oh, and my mom is also in the room as well, during this whole process. So she's out, she's on me. Now, one thing I could say about North Wake Med, they treated me and PJ like we were Michelle Obama, because they made sure we were good from beginning to end. So during this time, they let us have all the time that we wanted with her. They just told, we're gonna leave the room. You guys enjoy. Do you want photography? I'm like, yes, I want everything that y'all offer, because I just want a piece of her to always be with us. So they did a photo shoot. They did like a foot mold. They cut some of her hair. They did a whole bunch of different things so we can have keepsakes of her. Um, so when we were finally ready to, let go, we told them, we're ready. They asked, are we sure? We said yes. So they said that they would put her inside of the thing, outside of the door, so we wouldn't have to see that. So once I let her go, before I let her go, I just remember I kept rubbing her little cheek, because it was unbelievable that she wasn't alive, because she looked so peaceful and full term. It was nothing deformed or anything. So it was just hard to believe. And I just remember telling her, how much we love her. We're going to miss her, different things, tell different people in heaven. We said hi, just different things like that. So finally let her go. They put her inside of the thing outside of the door. I remember them asking us about funeral arrangements, donating breast milk. I'm still trying to grasp the fact that this just happened to me. And I'm just looking like, what are y'all saying? Like, this is really real. Like, this is real. Funeral arrangements. What? Like, I was just in disbelief. And whew, um so that's everything's going on. So they was just like, how are you feeling? What do you want to do? And I just said, I just want to go home. I want to get to my daughter, Lauren, so that I can tell her what's going on. Because at this time, Lauren still doesn't know. Lauren spent the night with my Aunt Nita, so she still doesn't know what's going on, because they wanted us to be the ones to tell her.
Mm.
So I was able to go home. We were able to go home, and when you have that car seat in the back where they make sure you got your car seat before you leave, and to go home with an empty car seat and an empty belly, that is no joke. That's no joke. That's not something that I wish on my worst enemy. So we go home. I call my mom. I said, Mom, we're on the way home. She said, okay, I'm gonna get Lauren. I'm gonna meet y'all there. We're not telling her anything. By the time we got home, they were already there. And Lauren, my mom let Lauren go in by herself so that it can be just us explaining to her what happened. So me and PJ were already in the house. Lauren walks in. The first thing Lauren says is, where is she at? Where's she at? She's looking for her. And I'm telling her, we had to sit there and we had to explain to her that her little sister didn't make it. And thank you. And the type of cry that Lauren did was a cry I never heard before. I had never heard that before. It was just different. And so we all, we were just hugging, we were crying. And we showed her pictures that we had just so she can see how she looked. And the main thing with Lauren was the main thing that she didn't like was the fact that, COVID was in place. She never got a chance to She never got a chance to physically see her, physically touched her. She never met her. And that was Lauren's main thing. She just wanted to see her. So, mind y'all, this is Christmas Eve. This is Christmas Eve. So the next day is Christmas. So we still got to pull it together to still make sure that Christmas is still Christmas for Lauren, even after everything happened. But let me tell you something. Our family, our support system is phenomenal. They made sure that we didn't have to worry about anything outside of us losing a child. And I'm just forever grateful for because that just means a lot. Because this, like I said, is Christmas time. So the next day is Christmas. And, we pull it together. Lauren had her gifts. We had, me and my husband, we had brought gifts, everything. We exchanged gifts and everything. But when I tell you my family came, they cooked breakfast and just everybody. I remember Saul coming and helping PJ put together Lauren's toys. Just everybody just came through for us. And it was just, I cannot express how much I appreciate it, because I just don't know what we would do without that support system. So that was that Christmas. That was the weirdest Christmas I've ever had. So for me, Christmas is very triggering. Christmas music, Christmas decorations, anything Christmas is very triggering for me. But because we have children and things like that, it gets me through it.
Yes. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I have no
Yeah.
words. I just have no words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I often hear people say that life is filled with swift transition. And, sometimes it can be really quick. And like you don't have time enough to think, you don't have time enough to get yourself together. You just don't like, and I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I wish I had words. I wish I had words. Yeah, just
I will say this though, and I think this is so
One
major.
thing with grief.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead. You go ahead first.
One thing with grief, I know a lot of people tend to tell what happened. With grief, a lot of people tend to tell what happened and then they jump to, but God kept me. God kept my mind. And, I got through it and everything like that. But a lot of people skip over the ugly part of it. And for me, it was some ugly times after that. Some very dark, ugly times. My thing with that is, this is Christmas time. Lauren is on Christmas break. PJ is on paternity leave. But at this time, it's time for them to go back. I couldn't be by myself. Like, during this, I'm still on, I'm on maternity leave. And so I remember Torrance and Rena, they opened their house up to me. At the time, Rena was a stay-at-home mom, so they opened their house up to me during the day. I appreciate them so much for that because I could not be by myself. Rena would make sure that guest bedroom was ready for me. The door was unlocked. I came right in. I was able to just come in and just go to sleep. Whatever I needed. She couldn't get me to eat. That's one thing she could not get me to do, but she made sure I was good. And I remember one day I was just tore up and she just prayed for me like never before. Just, I really appreciate that. I appreciate them letting me be able to come and just be a mess, basically. I really appreciate that. And it was just a lot of dark times. It was very dark for me. A lot of drinking, just to numb it and ease the pain and different things like that. It was very dark. But one thing I can say is I didn't lose my mind. I did not slip into depression. I did not um allow myself to think too deep in very dark thoughts. I was able, God was able to pull me things because it was rough. It was very dark. It was very rough, like unexplainably rough because I was angry. I was angry with God. I did not understand why you would torture me through a full pregnancy for me to not even have a baby. I did not understand what did I do so wrong to go through a full pregnancy just to lose a baby, and they can't even tell me what happened because nothing was wrong. So, even in the midst, because I talked a lot of junk to God. I'm gonna be honest. I talked some real big junk. And but he still kept me in the midst of that. He still pulled me out of that. He still held me. And that's why, I've been in church all my life. And you hear people say, "Oh, God kept my mind. I could have lost my mind." That hits so different for me now. And when they say, he kept me in the midst of it all, like different, like that hits different for me because you hear it all the time. And when you actually experience it, it hits a lot differently. And so I'm grateful, just for being kept because there are other people who have gone through similar situations who can't say the same.
It's the truth. It is the truth. It is the
Yeah.
truth. And Kale, one of the things that I love so much about what you're saying is the fact that you are giving the transparent truth of it, because you're right. People all the time talk about God kept me, but those late night, midnight cries, the screams, the
Ooh,
all of the things, nobody talks about that, because in the Christian world, you want to portray this facade of God has it all in control. He's keeping you, and there are no low moments. And I can remember even, ourselves like not really showing that there is a dark side to it, because I didn't want to make God look bad. And, we taught that, be strong and all of this stuff when I'm literally dying in the inside. And so I love that you were able
yeah.
to say and share your feelings with that, because it is true. It is hard. It is not easy. We sometimes it looks easy because of the outside smile, but you don't necessarily see the inside hurt and pain that people endure on a daily basis. I
Yeah.
love that.
And one thing I realized, if the Bible declares that the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. So when I hear you say, like your mom don't play about you, so from Claudette to Christina to Ron to Anita, they are some praying people. So, and they may have had some times too
Yeah.
when some points where they just didn't know what to pray or how to pray, because I've been there. Like I don't know what to say to God. Like, what I'm feeling right now. I just don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. But when you got a support system and you got people that are praying for you, like you said, Torrance wife, and I'm sure your other friends as well. You had people. We were praying hard. So um, it's true. Now you're sitting here today. You're able to share your story, and I do believe that it's because of the effectual prayers of the righteous. Because a lot of people have dealt with something similar, if not the same, and they don't have the ability that you are showing us right now.
Yep.
So, God is so amazing in his doing, and it is so important, to have that support system. It is.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I also say when Kale talked about her support, like I love that. Like they just came in, did what needed to be done in the midst of it, and it alleviated so much stress and you all having to do so much. And then it gave Lauren another sense of a normal moment. Her family's here, this is what she knew, and so that was good for her. And a couple of things, like I love um how PJ supported, and all of that, because we need that um as wives, they need it
Yes.
too, but just having one another, that just helps so much as well. Helps so much as well. One more thing that I wanted to go into, because I feel like there's a part two to your story. And so I want you to, I don't remember this date, but I remember Dr. Dixon having a prayer night at the
Yes.
church. And I remember you being at the altar. I don't know if she called you up or how it went, but I remember her speaking to you directly. And I literally, I'm supposed to be like, behind, just helping, working the altar. But when I tell you, all my insides were screaming, I was jumping, shot, all of the things, I was doing it. Talk to us about that night.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I wanted to include that just to give hope to people who have been through this. So, this was in January. I don't remember the date, but it was January of 2023. I was in such a dark place. I remember Mom Christina, my mom in love. I remember her telling me about this service that they were gonna hold at our church, and she was like, "You gonna go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go." But I remember that specific day. It was a Friday. Yeah, it was a Friday evening. I remember taking off work. I'm back at work during this time. This is 2023 now, so it's been a year and not even a full month after everything happened. And I remember I took off of work because I was just in a dark place. PJ and I, we decided to try again that December before, or that November before. We decided to try again, but things weren't happening as fast as it did with London. And so I'm like, wow, like, is it something like I can't have kids anymore? Like, what is going on? Why is it not happening? And so that just really, because Lauren really wanted a sibling that was here with her. And she would ask every day, am I going to have a sibling? Am I going to have a sibling? So that made it even harder for me because I really wanted that for us and especially for her. And so this particular day, I took off work. I just was not feeling anything that day. I wasn't even going to go to the service, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to sit in the back row. Don't nobody say nothing to me. Let me just sit in the back. So I did just that. And I remember just the spirit was so heavy in there. And I remember one of her workers, they had came to me. I don't even know who it was because they had on masks. I don't know who it was that came to me, but I got emotional. And I remember her coming to me saying, "Get what you need tonight." And I was like, okay, let me get this chip off my shoulder. Let me really get into the presence of God because I came not really wanting none of that. I just came. So I remember Dr. Dixon saying, if you want prayer, I remember she had prayer cloths, you can stand in line. I was not going to get in that line. I really was. And I'm like, no, I'm going to just, stay in the cut. But it just, that I needed to get in the line. So I got in the line and I remember it was so many people in the line. So she started doing it by, I think, like twos or threes. So by the time it was my turn, I think it was me and two other people. And when she got to me, mind you, she does not know my situation at all. And one thing about me, when it comes to people prophesying and stuff, I am a tough believer, because you got a lot of people that just be saying stuff that sounds good. So God knows that if you're going to prophesy to Shaquel, you're going to have to be very specific. And so when she came to me, she told me, she said, you have a daughter that, likes music. And everyone knows Lauren. Lauren likes music. She sings and everything. And I'm like, yeah. She was like, she's going to sing songs. I remember her saying something about your daughter's going to sing songs. And then I remember her pausing and listening to what God was speaking to her. And then she said, okay. She looked at me and she said, I'm not talking to you. She pointed to my stomach and said, I'm talking to you. What happened last time will not happen this time. You will be full term. You will be healthy, and you shall be a boy.
Woo!
And if you was there, you know that I almost cried my wig off, because that was something that we had been wanting and we had been trying and praying for. So for her to prophesy that to me, to me like that, just was unbelievable. So I remember one thing you may not know about that night. Right after, I finally gathered myself and got myself together, I went to the bathroom and I threw up. I literally threw up right after all of that. I went to that bathroom and I threw up. I remember it was getting late. I was ready to get home. So I went to my car, about to leave. I vomited again. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is it? So I remember coming home. My husband was playing his bass by the time I got home, and I came through, my eyes are puffy, and I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta tell you what happened. And when I told him, he broke down, because that is something we really had been believing God for. And so I just remember the next day, which was Saturday. I'm on the praise team. My husband is a musician at the church, so we had rehearsal. And I remember still feeling sick that next day in rehearsal. I had to go to the bathroom. I played it off, so nobody knew. But I was feeling really sick that day. And that Monday, so that service happened Friday, rehearsal Saturday, Sunday regular church service. That Monday, I was at work. I went and got a pregnancy test from the store. I took that pregnancy test. Now, mind you, I had took about a good 50 pregnancy tests trying to get pregnant again. But I got that pregnancy test, and I was literally at work when I took it, and it said that I was pregnant. And so many different emotions, went through, because here we are again. We're trying this again. We know what happened last time, but I know what was said to me. And that's why I love God so much, because he knows what you need and how you need it. He knows that I didn't need to know that I was pregnant again until I got that from Dr. Dixon. Because if
Right.
not, I would have been, which of course I was still nervous, but it would have been another level, to the point where I
Right.
might have. So pregnancy is going on. Of course, everybody is on edge. Of course, after such a traumatic experience, of course, everybody's on edge. Each appointment, I would literally have so much anxiety. Each appointment I had, it was just a lot. I would listen to gospel music. I'm in there crying and, everything. And we get to where we find out the gender. We decided to do the early blood test. And I remember we did the test, and we got the results in the my chart that it was a boy. So we decided to surprise our family and make it seem like, oh, we're just going to have a Sunday dinner at our house. And it was time for us, it's Sunday dinner. Everybody's here. We gather around to pray for the food. And I'm like, oh, I got to use the bathroom. And I walk out and I go get a big old gender reveal balloon. And I come out and say, well, the reason why we gathered you guys here was because we want to reveal the gender. And we popped the balloon and it was blue. And just to see our family and our support system, their response to that was just everything. And of course, I used to touch my stomach trying to make sure he was moving and trying to, make sure everything was okay. And of course, they induced my labor because, I was considered high risk before. So, of course, they induced my labor at, let me back up. I did have a little bit of complications with this pregnancy with him. My umbilical cord was not placed where it needed to be placed, so he wasn't receiving the full nutrients that he needed. So they had to induce me at 37 weeks just so that he can come out and just get the nutrients, from that. So induction day it was just a lot of different emotions because I'm nervous. I am very nervous, but I'm holding on to what God said. And so go in, they called me. My induction date was the 29th of September 2023 last year. They called me on the 28th and said, hey, we want to go ahead and get you in so you can have a bed, because this time of year it's a lot of people. And so, we're already packed up and ready. So we go, they induce me. I get the epidural because I'm just a fan of epidural. I just want to thank God for epidural as well, because that is just a gift from him directly to so so I got it a little too early. So I did feel what a real contraction feels like. Now, I do know what that feels like. But had him, he came, he was healthy, he was crying. Just that cry that a lot of people take for granted when they have a baby. Don't take it for granted, because to hear that cry was, it was everything. But of course, when things are going right, the devil always has to step in. It always has to be something. So my cervix were stuck to, my placenta was stuck to my cervix. I think that's what it was. And so the doctor is they got nurses pushing down and doctors trying to pull. And only thing I'm trying to focus on is that my baby is here and alive. I heard the doctor say that they might have to take me to the OR. I've never gotten to surgery. I don't know anything about that type of stuff. I said, what's the OR? I asked her, what is that? And she was like, oh, the operating room. We might have to cut you up. Cut who? You're not cutting me. I can't remember if it was my mom or Mom Christina. That I think it was my mom or no, it was me. I told the doctor, please don't cut me open. And it's like that doctor looked at me and was just like, okay. And she sat there and she tried and tried and tried. I lost a lot of blood. And my mom ended up, because, this is her daughter that's going through this right now. So my mom ended up having to step into the bathroom. And I remember her sharing with me that she went in there, she prayed and prayed like, God, come on. And she lifted her hands. And the minute she lifted her hands, she heard the doctor say, we got it. Woo! So they did not have to cut me open. I did not lose too much blood. Everything. And so if you don't believe in Jesus, I am a living witness that he's real. Yeah. God literally told me to have a healthy baby boy, and that's literally what happened. Who knows a gender before a baby is even formed?
My God.
I'm just thankful. So that's why you see me in church the way that I am, because, I'm just thankful. I'm blessed and I'm thankful.
Yes, you are a definite testimony that God see you on the back row, even on the back row. When you in the cut,
on the back.
When you in the cut, God still see you.
Wow. My God.
Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
What there go Dr. Dixon. Yes. Hey. I am in awe of God. And one thing about it, I often call Gabe my polka dot baby. And the reason, and I've said it before, but the reason that I do that is because when you look at a polka dot, anything that's polka dot, there's a solid color, and then there are the polka dots. And so the solid color represents the dark moment, that still happened. That's the loss of it. But the polka dots represent added joy in the midst of it. It doesn't take the pain away, It doesn't take the fact that this happened, but it just adds some more joy. And so I called Gabe my polka dot baby. And so you got a polka dot baby too, with his handsome self.
Yes.
And so this is just
Yes.
a testament that God is real.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, your testimony, I love it. I love every bit of it. I love your transparency through it all. I love it. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it just shows that Romans 8:28 is true. All things work together for the good of them that love God and are the called according to his purpose. It just is what it is. And so I am eternally grateful.
Yes.
And so I pray, and I just by looking at the comments, I believe that the Lord has blessed so many.
Yes.
And I'm just, they're commenting and saying so much.
My dad said,
really,
yeah. And Kale,
again.
you can
my
always
dad calls Landon Ron Patrick, and he just
Why he put that in the chat, Ron Patrick. I thought he was saying PJ.
Wow. And
Yes.
Kale, you can always now you have a greater understanding that when the Bible says that when a word has been spoken to you and it come to pass, then you'll know that a prophet was in your midst.
A real
prophet.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm so happy. I'm so glad. I'm just overjoyed that God allowed you guys to get to the good part.
Yes.
To get to the good part,
Yes.
because y'all have an amazing story, a painful story, but there is a good part.
There is a good part.
And God is still writing.
He is still writing your story. He is not through yet with the Davis family.
Yeah.
I am glad about it. Kel, thank you so much. You know, we love you.
Yes, absolutely.
So much. Tell PJ we love him too. He probably hiding in the background somewhere. I should be Lauren up here to sing a song or something.
He's on.
Hey,
yo, what up? Yo, what up, PJ? What up, baby?
Yes, Miss Verena. God is so good. Yes.
Hey, tell PJ to come wave to the camera. Tell him to just come wave.
PJ said you put him on
the spot. Yeah, that's what he's looking like too.
Yeah.
Look at the miracle.
Yes, sir. That's my guy right there.
My God. Look at
yes, sir. Look at Lauren. Oh my goodness.
Wow. Look at God.
Yes, sir.
I love y'all
yes,
so
sir.
much.
And that's what the good part looks like.
It is 100%.
Yes.
Wow.
Kale, you have got to go through and read the testimony, the comments that just show how powerful your testimony was and how people were so blessed by your testimony. And it's going so fast that I can't even get them all up here. Dr. Dixon said that she was grateful that you listened to God and humbled by his goodness. Yes. So, hey, Lacisha. Hey, Janice. I love you. I love all of y'all. Hey, Miss Lorraine. Thank you. Hey, Miss Annie. Hey, Tracy. All right. So thank you so much, guys. Yeah. Thank you all. Millennium Power Couple. That's right. I love that. So, Kale, again, thank you so much for joining us on tonight. Thank you for sharing your testimony. Your daddy says he loves y'all.
I love you, Dad.
Because your testimony was so good, I'm gonna fuss about your dad tonight. So I'm his friend actually today. I am his friend. So Ron, friend, just FYI, let's make peace tonight.
Tonight.
Just tonight. Guys, thank you so much, PJ. All of y'all, we love y'all so much. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Share, tell somebody to tune in. If you know someone that's having a hard moment through this holiday season, be real with your emotions and allow God to heal you everywhere you hurt.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Hey, Miss Doretha, thank you so much for joining us on tonight. Hey, Alicia, thank you for joining us. Yes, so much light. Yes, in the midst of darkness. Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, thank you all again for joining us. Thank you. To God be the glory, Miss Annie. To God be the glory. So we love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us on tonight. Good night. We'll be back next week. Next week, we will be back with Dr. Frances Kingsbury, and she is going to share her story. And Overseer Janice said, "Your daddy is crazy." You know, Ron.
Y'all leave him alone now.
Yes.
He's gonna start texting in a few minutes.
He will. He will. So we thank you for joining us on tonight. Kay, I love you so much.
Yeah, we do.
Be encouraged. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
y'all.
Thank you.